Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Complaint Free Life. And I'm so happy to greet you because today I have a very, very important topic to discuss with you. So stay tuned and don't go away until the end. So, the topic that I want to discuss is it does not depend on the argument that our brains oftentimes offer to us in so many decision making or even in our normal ordinary lives. And I will be giving you several examples of how that will show up and also consequences of that mindset. And then, of course, what to do to change it as your role, right? So the first thing first is if you would like to work on this mindset, if you would like to apply whatever I'm saying to your own life and see the results for yourself in your transitioning journey, or even deciding not to transition and just curious about it and you want to try it out, then you should absolutely join my lab for transitioning humanitarians, where we will be dissecting all of this in the coaching environment. So I would be very, very happy to greet you in that room to talk to you about all of these tools and then how we can apply them in your life currently so that you can go to the life that you really want to live. Okay, so the topic that I want to talk about is this it doesn't depend on me argument that our brains offer, where we want to outsource the responsibility to other things outside of us, other circumstances outside of us, because we just believe that this is how it is. For instance, let's say that you wanted to just transition to somewhere else, to transition to another version of your life that you want to, or you want to transition in your current circumstances, but your brain says that, well, I can't really transition because the market is bad now, because the pandemic is just over, because everyone is predicting a recession because of the war in Ukraine or because of other circumstances in life, or because of you being underqualified, overqualified to be searching for a job back home. And that's why you just have to stay where you are. So, right? So you can see that our brain is subtly telling us that it all doesn't depend on you. So therefore, you may as well not try. Right. So another way of it could show up in your current life is that you don't really want to go to work. You don't really want to be doing what you're doing because you think that uh, the boss is not really supportive of you, or you don't really like your colleagues, or you don't think that working on that thing is, excuse me, you have to work on those reports, but you don't really want to work on it. So that's why you just feel like you are hanging in there. You just feel like you are just continuing to the status quo without really being able to do anything because, excuse me, because this is how it is. It doesn't all depend on you, but you just have to do it. You just should do it, but you don't want to do it, right? So you are in that limbo. And again, your brain is saying that, well, all of this, how you feel, does not really depend on you because you just happen to be in this environment and you just happen to be doing this work for a long time. And therefore you just need to continue like biting the bullet and going for it, and you can't really do anything about it, right? So if this sounds familiar to you, then all of this is coming from this mindset that it doesn't really depend on me. I'm just in this environment and I just need to do my part. Now, the consequences of such mindset of it doesn't depend on me mindset is we just tend to outsource that responsibility of what we could do specifically. We just don't even attempt to do that, and rightly so, obviously, because we're telling ourselves that it all does not really depend on us. right? So whether we're able to replicate our salary somewhere else if we wanted, no, it doesn't really depend on us. So therefore, we don't really do anything about it. Whether we can really create our own business, for instance, but no, I don't really, it doesn't really depend on me because the market is unstable, or there's so many people who are already doing it. There's so much competition. So I wouldn't be able to do that there, or in our current circumstances of all of the other people are not really making my life easier, or my situation is not making my life easier. So here we go, right? So this is the consequence of that mindset, unfortunately, is does not allow us to explore options of what to do, how to change our current situation if we wanted to, or how to transition to something else if we wanted to. It doesn't really allow us, and it just keeps stopping us from going forward. And therefore, it also keeps us in this corner of, like, in our own metaphorical corner, right? Of I can only do this much, or I can't really do further anything else, and then we'll just keep being in that corner, and just hanging in there, or getting along, or continuing the status quo without doing anything about it. Or even if we do something, then we will just likely to stop the next obstacle that we see, and we're like, yeah, you see, it doesn't really depend on us. So, and then therefore, we will be always trying to find other ways to cope with our whatever the feeling we're experiencing, like exhaustion, overwhelm, stress, or apathy, or numbingness. We keep like trying to find different coping mechanisms to deal with those emotions, because we keep believing that all of this doesn't depend on us, therefore we don't really do much to change it, and therefore we just keep coping with whatever is happening. We are not really seeing our loved ones as much as we wanted to, like our children, or our parents, or our partners. We're not really seeing them as often as we wanted to, or living with them as much as we wanted to, or spending time with them. And then we are only doing that on certain occasions. And therefore, we are feeling like, okay, we're not really good people for doing it. But at the same time, we have to earn the money, or we have to do this, or we have to be providing for the family. And therefore, we just keep that loop. And all of this coming from this mindset of it doesn't depend on me, right? You can see that if we live that life of all of this doesn't depend on me, life, right? Or like being very specific, but still believing that it doesn't depend on me life, then it's likely that we will be always in the survival mode. And by survival mode, I mean that always reactive mode of just reacting to the environment that to life that we have, instead of creating the life that we want to. And my dears, my mission in life, I feel like, is to help any humanitarian, well, any human basically, to live that life from a creative mode, meaning that live the life from a proactive, from this is how I want to do things, this is how I want to live, this is how I want to feel, from this creative creation mode, rather than from a reaction mode of this is how life is, I just need to get along, I just need to do this, I just need to get the best education for my child, or get the best house for my family, even though I'm sacrificing and not really living my life, even though I'm just getting along or continuing whatever I know best. So now the question that I then ask is, okay, where is this? Where is this? It doesn't depend on me mindset coming from, right? So how we came to this mindset, most of us on this planet came to this mindset of it doesn't depend on me. And of course, there are many explanations to this. You can, think for yourself as well as to where your own "it doesn't depend on me" mindset comes from. When I think about it, I think it really comes down to us never learning that the outcomes, the lives that we have currently, we have created ourselves. I think it really comes down to this. The thing that I'm realizing a lot in my own life and with my clients' life is that we we are not um, we are not taught to understand and analyze and look at um, how we are creating the life that we're creating. And a lot of that, of course, is probably coming from us, coming out of the childhood and becoming an adult and trying to realize, like, recognize what's going on and how to live. And then a lot of the things that we do are reactive because we just want to get experience. We just want to get to the study that we want or the study that we think will give us financial advantages or security or job security, right? So I think we can come out of this childhood to being the adolescent to being an adult, right? So we come out and then we're like, okay, it's trying to make sense of the world, trying to get the next best thing because we don't really have experience. So therefore, so it's very, I think, understandable why and how we do it. And it's whatever the experience that we have, it's amazing that we have gathered that experience. But at the same time, I think we haven't really consciously realized that actually the life that I'm living currently is my own creation. Yes, we can always add or include our God to this if you are a spiritual or religious person, right? So, but in the end of the day, it all came down, it all became whatever the life that we're living now became the result of all the choices that we've made, all the decisions that we've made, and that's the life that we're living now. So currently, whatever the life you're having is the result of whatever the decisions, choices you have made. Even if at the time you made those choices, decisions based on it doesn't really depend on me, so therefore this is what I can do, but still you have made that choice, right? So now that we understand that all of the life choice or all of the things that we're living now, whatever the way we're living now, our lives, is the choices that we've made, meaning that we have made the choices, we have created the life that we wanted or not wanted. Now it's time to get curious as to how we created that life that we wanted or not wanted, how we are creating the results in our lives, and how we want to create it now differently and consciously if we wanted to. In other words, if we realize that, hold on, wait a minute, all of what I have now, whatever the relationships, whatever the failed relationships, whatever the great relationships, whatever the successes I had, whatever the failures I had, whatever the achievements I have created it. Right? Because if I tell you that whatever the you achievements you have, you didn't create it, you will be like, what? Maybe many of you, of course, are very used to thinking that all of this is created by luck, right? All of this is created, it just happened to be this way, or it just happened to be. But even if it was subconsciously, unconsciously, it's still us who are creating it. It's still us who are going to work every day and doing the job. It's still us deciding that we continue doing it because we signed the contract. So it's still, in the end, us. Now, if we realize that, and if we also realize that if we have created whatever the circumstances, the situation that we have now, then we also know that we have whatever the abilities, whatever the skills necessary to be creating something else if we wanted to. And the reason why we believe that it doesn't depend on us is basically because we haven't learned to realize that all of our thoughts about how we think, all of our thoughts about our abilities, about our skills, they all created the results that we have. And we just haven't consciously realized that. So if we do, and if we realize that it all depended on us, how we created whatever we created, now what else are we wanting to create? And even if there is always this thought comes up, or what if it doesn't depend really on me? What if it really depends on other people? How about we always bring back the responsibility to ourselves, bring back the ownership to ourselves, the agency to ourselves, and then look at what if it all depended on me? What if it all depended on me and my God, for instance, right? Or me and the universe, or me and myself. So however the way your belief system is, your faith is, right? So what if all of this depended on us? And I love how Joe Dispenza talks about in his Breaking the Habit of Being You, right? The book. I love how he talks about there is this life intelligence within you, or in the universe, or however the way you look at it. There is this life intelligence that's telling us that we can do and create whatever we want. So we can always bring ourselves back to the creation mode whenever we want to. The question is, why are we not doing it? And I think one of the biggest reasons why we're not doing it, bringing ourselves from the survival mode to the creation mode, is simply because we believe that it doesn't depend on us. Or we believe that it depends on us to a certain point. But think about it, what's the use of thinking that way? What's the use of not taking the responsibility or taking the ownership and exploring what to do, and instead just giving the responsibility to the external world of whatever happens? What's the use of it? Right? Maybe there is less stress or less pressure because we are afraid to put a lot of pressure on ourselves if we take all the responsibility and we say that we are the one who are creating all the results. Maybe we believe that we have a lot of pressure in doing that. But think about the alternative. The alternative is us just going along in the world and just hoping for things to happen, which is great that we can hope and amazing, but what if we can do more than hope? What if we can do a lot more than that? What if we can be committed? What if we can be determined in getting what we want? Because all of those skills are available to us, right? All of those skills that you and I have like in ourselves now. So if we have all of those tools to be getting what we want, why we wouldn't do that? Why we would just put things out in the world to I'll just see what happens. Why would we do that? Especially if we're currently suffering and not satisfied with what we have, not really living the life that we really truly want, not really being with our loved ones the way we want to. If we're already in the suffering mode, why wouldn't we go all in on trying to create the life we want? So that's why if you are willing to try and explore what are the things you can actually do by looking at everything from the perspective, from the mindset of what if it all depended on me? What if I am the one who can create all the things that I want to because it's my life, right? It's every one of our lives, and especially for fellow humanitarians who are moms, who are dads, who are with children, who have dependents. I hear you because I don't have my children, but I have my family members that depend on me. And so therefore I take it very seriously and dearly to my heart. And I want to be always there to be providing for them. I want to be always there for them for all of the things that I can support my family. But at the same time, I want to do that out of integrity, of loving what I do, loving my life the way I have, and continuing my relationship with people I want, especially with my partner, while I create the financial provision for my family, right? While I create the life I want, while I live my life the way I want to, so that I'm helping them not out of resentment, not out of, it doesn't really matter what I want. What matters is what you want. I'm not doing that out of that, but I'm doing it. It matters so much what I want. Also, it matters so much what you want. And therefore, I'm wanting to create that. And that's why I'm always looking at what if it all depended on me? What if all of the life that I want to create? What if all of the impact I want to create? What if all of the results I want to create in my life? What if all the money that I want to create in my life depends on me, and how I want to create it depends on me? Then I get to start doing concrete things, exploring where I can do, what I can do, and how I can do it. And then I get to work to doing that. That puts me in the driving seat of my life rather than in the passenger seat of, well, I don't really know, or it doesn't depend on me. Right? So that's why I feel like I talk about this mindset a lot, but I feel even more so lately when I hear so many people asking me as to what if this, what if this, what if it doesn't work out, what if I'm fearful, what if it really in the end doesn't depend on me, and all of this belief issues, right? Then I really want to like get the loudspeaker and start saying that, but why are we putting ourselves in that position of not depending on us? Why we're putting ourselves in the position of, well, I can't really do anything about it. Why? Because it's scary, because it's pressuring, but it also depends on us how we regulate those feelings. Because it all depends on us how we think about ourselves, how we think about our abilities, our skills, and how we build them, and how we build them so that we don't need to be suffering currently in our lives because we believe that it doesn't depend on me and it depends on someone else. Instead of that, we always decide, how do I want to be this person that I want to in this situation, no matter who's talking to me and how. And the same goes, how do I want to create the life that I want to, transition into the life that I want to, by being the person I want to and doing the things that I want to. And then start working towards that. And giving yourself the chance of working towards that rather than continue to fix or react to the consequences of your mindset of, it doesn't depend on me. So let's at least create a chance, or create an opportunity, create a possibility for us to explore how it could all depend on me. For instance, if I don't have time for things I want to, ask yourself how it all depends on you, how you manage your time. Meaning that, what if you said no to those things? What if you finished things in a particular way? What if you planned it? What if you did this? What if you did that? And start trying that out rather than sitting that, well, it all doesn't depend on me anyway because my boss comes up every 10 minutes to tell me what to do. friends, right? The same goes for what if it all depended on me as to how I replicate my money if I decide to leave? Or what if depended on me that I live my life the way I want to while I'm in the humanitarian world, while I'm doing the work that I love, how I could do everything else the way I want to, and start exploring what specific things you could do, what specific things you could think, what specific things you could feel already. The same goes for whatever the feeling that we're having. For instance, if we're having the exhaustion, if we're having the overwhelm, if we're having the confusion, if we're having the feeling of stuck, ask yourself, what if it depended on me how I feel about whatever the situation? How do I want to feel then? How do I want to react then? Why am I always feeling these things? Because I'm thinking in this particular way. And the reason why I'm thinking this way is because I believe that it depends on the other person. But what if it depended on me? Then how do I want to think about this? And then how do I want to feel about this? And start feeling that. So, my dears, I hope that it was useful for you to shift your mindset always from one to another, because I feel like it's like a 360 um, grade of turning around, and it's almost like upside down maybe in some ways, from the way that we used to think about things. So always remind yourself and start looking at where your agency and how you take ownership of this, how you take your agency to say, what if it depends on me? What if it depends on me, and what am I going to do then, and how am I going to do that? And most importantly, what kind of a person do I want to be in that situation to be doing whatever things we want to, right? It's the same way that we want to do that with our children, with our nieces and nephews, and whoever the young people in our lives, that we want to always show up in that relationship thinking, how do I want to be this person that I want in this relationship so that this young mind gets the best version of me, right? We often, I think that, because I was thinking as well recently, talking to my nephews, and I was thinking they are this amazing mind who are still exploring the world in so many different ways, and I want to be showing up in that, the best of me, so that I can show them what else is possible in the world, or how else we can react in the world, how else we can do in the world. So I was like, I noticed myself being very intentional about it, really being very conscious about it. And the same goes for our lives, to say, it is my life, and it's so worth living it in the best way I can. And why not do that from the agency of it all depends on me? And then start exploring where it takes us, and then start living that. Okay, my dears, have an amazing weekend. I will be speaking to you soon, and I really hope that you join um, the lab for transitioning humanitarians, where we will be dissecting all of this, and I can coach you as many times as you want to on this topic or any other topic that I talk about. So I really encourage you to join, or of course, you can let me know if you want to work with me individually. I'm happy to talk to you about that as well. So until then, stay safe and with love.